Hello, everybody. This is Yang Family Tai Chi traditional long form, and we're in the first section. And today's new move is going to be left ward off. So it's the first move of grasp the bird's tail. So I'd like to start off with a short review of what we did last time. And let's do a quick warm up, okay? So stand shoulders width apart, and we're going from head down, okay? Think about lifting your head up. Something is pulling your head up, okay? And we're going to be like nodding, down, up, down, up, down, up, and then side to side.
Is that it?
Okay, yes, it is. That's it. Thank you.
Am I going now?
Yeah, thank you.
And then shoulders go forward, around, and back. Forward, around, and back. Forward, around, and back. And then the other way, back and forward, back and forward. Then I'd like you to think about loosening up your middle body. So just let your arms swing. But try to keep your hips still. Okay? Think about keeping your hips still and just moving your upper body. And now we should work on our legs. So I'd like you to move one leg 45 degrees out and the other one just a little bit forward. So you're just going to tap your toe and heel, toe and heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, and then the other one, the other side, 45 degrees, and toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel, toe, heel. Back to the first side. And we're going to do big toe, little toe. So big toe, little toe. This is a basic hip opening exercise. So big toe, little toe. And the other side, big toe, little toe. Big toe, little toe. Big toe, little toe. And I'd like to show you a hip opening exercise. And if you can't do it, don't worry about it. But eventually, I'd like you to think about learning to do this. And you should start by holding on to something like a chair, kitchen counter, whatever you have. And with one foot going 45 degrees, I want you to make circles with your knee. Okay. And what this does is it helps encourage the stability of the standing foot, and it opens up your hips. So you want to make circles. And then next, I'd like to do like 2 minutes worth of standing practice. Okay, so what is that? You have your feet shoulders width apart, and you think of raising your head And everything from your neck down, think about like clothes hanging from a hanger. So everything from the neck down just hangs down, but your head is up. Okay. Then I want you to make a circle with your arms. Can you see? It's a circle. And your shoulders are down, your elbows are down. And I want you to feel the energy coming out of your spine into your fingers. So it's as if you had energy that made this circle from fingertip to fingertip. Okay? Then with your middle body, I want you to think about dropping your tailbone. And that will straighten out your spine. So the important part of that is that if I'm here, I have like, well, this set of clothing is not very good for this, but you know, you naturally have kind of a concavity here. I want you to straighten that out. Can you see? You're dropping your tailbone, and that straightens out your spine. And you have your knees relaxed. The important thing about dropping your tailbone to straighten your spine is that I want you to think of dropping your tailbone. That is, I do not want you to think about having a pelvic tilt. I don't want you to tighten up your abdominal muscles to have that effect. Okay, so we're going to start our time. And what you're going to find is that you're going to make all these little adjustments. Okay, you're going to find, oh, my head is not quite up. Or I have a tendency to raise up my shoulders. And I want you to do this practice for 3 reasons. One, it is a reference shape. Okay, I want you to think of it whenever you're in the form and you think, well, am I in the right shape? This will be your reference. The second thing I want is that because it relaxes your middle body and aligns things up, it allows you to breathe better. Okay. And the third thing is it strengthens your legs. Okay. So we have now done 1 minute. Only 1 more to go. So I want you to think in terms of energy, because your energy comes from the ground. So in the classics, they say it comes from the feet through the legs, and it's directed by your waist, and it's manifest in your fingers. So it comes from the ground and out your hands. So if you ever watch Nancy when she does the form, her hands get hot. You know, if she does like a strike and brush knee or something, you can see that the bottom edge of her palm turns red. Okay, our time is up. Relax. Okay. I'd like to review quickly the Tai Chi walk, the Qigong walking, and then we'll go into more Tai Chi direct exercises. Okay. So the reason I wanted you to do Qigong walking is that it is good for your balance. Okay. the way Qigong walking, let me remind you, is if you had a line, you start with your feet on either side of the line. And the first move is one foot goes 45 degrees. And then you put when you move your foot toward 45 degrees, think of your hips going toward that foot. Then you're going to pick up the other foot and you're going to move it 45 degrees on either side of the same line. And as you put your weight on that foot, you're going to turn your hips toward that foot. Then you're going to pick up and 45 degrees, turn your hips, move your weight. Set, turn, move weight. Set, turn, move weight. And if you add the arms, it makes it easier. So when you move the foot toward 45 degrees, move your arms that way. Then as you move your foot the other direction, move your arms that way. And that way, that helps your hips go in that direction. So you set and move your arms that way. Set, move your arms. Set, move your arms. And I encourage you to do this exercise as something to help your stability. Okay? So that was one of the things we did last week. So I'm going to go this way so that it's a longer run. Okay? So I'm just going to do one row. Okay? So step, 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 step. So the first time you do it, you may find it's more difficult than it appears because if you're not used to walking in line, and most people aren't because they usually walk more like shoulders width apart, right? When you're walking. But if you walk in line, it'll help your balance. So now let's do the first kind of stepping we do in Taiji, which is the bow stance. So the bow stance, you have your feet shoulders width apart. And my cheater way of getting shoulders width apart is put your feet together. Then move your toes out so that they're 90 degrees from each other. And that's approximately going to be shoulders width apart. So you're going to move the balls of your feet out, and that's it. Okay? So what constitutes a bow stance? A bow stance has one foot 45 degrees and the other foot straight. It has the feet shoulders width apart, and the weight distribution is 60 in the front and 40% in the back. So how do you do this? Let's say we're stepping out with this foot. So when you step out with this foot, the first thing you have to do is you have to move this foot, which is the back foot, to 45 degrees. This is what I think of as the plant foot, because after you do that, you move all your weight to what I call the plant foot, and then this foot moves straight forward and heel, ball, toe, then move. So what does this look like? It's 60% weight in front, 40% weight in back, and your knee is lined up with your toe for both legs. So people see their front leg more than their back leg, so they're looking out for that. And you make sure that your knee only goes as far as, if you're wearing shoes that have shoelaces, as far as your shoelaces. So you still see the toe of your shoe. So this, it's easy to see your knee is lined up with your toe, but it's also true of your back leg. So be careful that your knee is in the same direction as the toe in the back leg as well. So what you don't want is you don't want this, okay? Because your knee is not going to be happy if you do that. So the reason I had you do those hip opening exercises is if you want to have your knees lined up with your toes, you have to have flexible enough hips that you have a rounded crotch so that your knees will line up with your toes in both legs. Okay. So when you move from one bow stance to another, you shift your weight back and you move the front toe to the corner. And essentially, what you're going to do is as you move your weight here, you're going to step through and then step out. Now, why didn't I do that in the beginning? The general rule is that you step through before you step out if you are more than shoulders width apart. Okay, because I started out shoulders width apart, I could just move this forward, right? Because I was starting it. But now I'm wider than shoulders width apart. So then when I'm coming through to do my next step, I essentially line up before I step out. And that helps my balance. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So when I do this in this direction, okay, I move 45 degrees and then I step forward and I move my weight. So how do I move my weight forward? Essentially what I'm doing is I'm pushing off the heel of the back foot. And then when I get to where I want to be, I'm pushing back with the front foot. So there's some like tension where the front and back foot each help you control where your alignment is. And there are two kinds of bow stance. The most common kind is this kind, which is I have a lean where from the back of my heel to the nape of my neck, I have kind of a line and I'm leaning a little bit forward. There are three moves in the long form where instead of leaning forward, you are straight up and down. And the way you make your body straight up and down is from here, what you're going to do is you're going to turn just a little bit more. And that allows you to comfortably be straight up and down. Okay?
Yeah.
The other point I want to remind you of is how far do you step? In other words, how most people look at, Tai Chi on YouTube or something, and all these people who are showing off are so low. Everybody wants to be really low. And there's a caveat on that front, which is that if I step out, I am not allowed to step out so far that I cannot come back. So if I'm standing here and I step out, it's pretty easy for me to come back, right? I'm coming back. If my stride is too long, if I'm way out here, what happens is I can't come back unless I push off and come back. So if you want to have a low stance, what does that mean? That means you have stronger legs so that your whole body is lower. So that if I'm lower, if I'm here, I can step here and come back, right? But if I'm lower, I can step here and come back, right? So the trick to having a low stance is having stronger legs. And one of the things about this first move is the first move determines the level at which you're doing the form. Okay, so when we do, last week we did prepare and open it. So what is prepare? Prepare is having your feet shoulders width apart. Okay, your head up, shoulders down, and like the middle finger on the seams of your pants. And what you're actually doing is you're doing a variation of standing. You want to have all the things that you had with standing. So head up, shoulders down, waist relaxed, tailbone down. So you've straightened out your spine and your knees are relaxed. That's prepare. Prepare is getting ready to move. Opening, you turn your hands so they're in front of your thighs and you bring them up to shoulder level. And then think about pressing down with your palms until you're almost to the bottom. So from the side, it looks like this. Your hands are at the side of your pants. You move your hands to the front, in front of your thighs. You come up to shoulder level and you press down. So your palms are pretty much parallel to the floor all the way down. And you end up here, just in front of your thigh. Okay? And this is an important position because you reuse it a lot. Like when you were talking about brush knee, if you're doing your first brush knee, when you come down, your hand is at that position when it comes down. You came down here and you're here, right? So it's a resting position that's important for you to know. Okay, let's go back to our bow stance. So if I'm going the same direction as you, okay, I'm shoulders width apart. My hands are touching the sides of my pants. I'm turning, coming up, and then pressing down, almost to the bottom. what is the next thing I do? The next thing I do is make a bow stance. So how do I do that? Just looking at the legs. I'm going to shift my weight left to release my right foot so that it can pivot on the heel and go toward the corner. Then I'm going to put all my weight to the right, pick up my left, heel, ball, toe, and then push off here until I have 60% in the front and 40% on the back. Okay, let's do that a few times. So your shoulders width apart. Your hands are almost at the bottom. Just looking at the feet first. Okay, so you're going to shift slightly to the left so that your right foot is released so that it can turn on the heel. Then you're going to put all your weight on the right and then move this foot forward and step and push off the back and restrain from the front. Again, shift left, turn right to the corner, all the weight on the right, pick up the left. So when you pick up the heel first, and when you set it down heel first. Okay? And one last time. Shift left, turn right, all the weight on the right, pick up the left, set it down, push off the back foot, and fill the front foot, 60%. Okay. Now let's look at the hands. Let's do a quick exercise for the hands. Okay. What I want you to do is put your hands like this, where you have one, they look like they're parallel, right? And the bottom hand is under the elbow of the top hand. Then I want you to open and then close. Open and close. Open and close. And this is a hand shape we use a lot. Okay, open and close. So when you're doing left ward off, what's going to happen is you were here. After you did your opening, you're here. When you turn your foot, what causes your foot to turn? Your waist. So your waist is the commander in terms of how your body moves. So think about the waist moving the foot, okay? The waist moves the foot. And if nothing else moves, you were here. If you don't move, your hands kind of go with it, right? So when you're here and you put all your weight on the right, you start moving your hands. So you start moving them how? One hand goes down and one hand goes up. So if I'm doing it in your direction, I'm here. And then as I move my weight over, one hand goes up and one hand goes down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to step and close. So what it looks like is I'm here. I turn my foot. I shift my weight. Then I step and close. Then as I shift my weight to the left, I turn. So it actually has a lot of pieces to it. So I'm going to do it with my back toward you so that it may be easier for you to orient. Okay. Actually, I'll do it in a few other directions, but I'll show it from the back first. Okay. So I'm here.
Yeah.
I turn. All the weight is on the right, one hand up, one hand down. Step and close. Shift weight and turn. It looks like this. Here. Turn. All the weight on the right. Step and close. Shift weight and turn. So what you're doing actually is in terms of how you are approaching your opponent. When you're here, essentially this hand is a grabbing hand. So you're grabbing and you're pulling the other person's arm over this hand. And essentially, it's like you're breaking their elbow. That's the motion that you're doing. Okay. So the way your body moves is that when you are here, you're turning.
Mhm.
And then as you shift your weight here, it's as if you're moving in that direction, right? And then as you step out, so then you're going to turn back so you're straight. You're going to, when you pull your opponent, when you step and close, you're going to turn back toward the front. Then as you shift weight, you're going to turn once again to the corner because you're moving this arm up. So the way Nancy describes it is like bowling left-handed. So it's like you're moving your hand up. Okay. So if we're doing it in this direction, I'm here. Turn. All the way to the right. Step and close. Turn as my hand goes to the side. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, I'm going to be in your direction.
Okay.
I'm here. I shift slightly to release the right foot. I turn the right foot to the corner. Then I put all my weight on the right. Then I step and close and turn and shift weight. So in terms of how the hands go together, when
Yes.
I'm here, one up, one down, step and close.
Mhm.
When I pass my hands one to the other, when the left hand comes up, the right hand passes across the middle of the left forearm. Okay. So once again, in this direction, I am releasing the right, turning the right foot, putting all the weight on the right, step and close. Then, as I shift weight, I'm turning. I'll do it the other way. So here, I'm releasing the right foot,
Mhm.
turning the right foot,
Mhm.
all the weight on the right foot.
Mhm.
Then step and close, shift weight and turn. So my final position, I've turned, step. My final position is like this. Now, is your knee in the direction of your front foot? Is your knee in the direction of your back foot? Has the right hand passed over the middle of the left forearm? Are there any questions other than doing it a lot of times? Yes?
So Rita, the hands, are the
Yes.
fingers open? Are the fingers closed?
Okay, so the hand, there are three basic hand shapes. This hand is the fair lady hand. So you can see it's relaxed, okay, and it's not together. The hands are open, right? This is the fair lady hand. Okay, the other hand, which you will learn in a few classes, is the hook hand, which is this hand. Okay, so essentially, it's like you have your hand like this and you put your fingers together. That's the hook hand. And then the other hand is, there are certain striking hands. So if you're hitting somebody in the neck, okay, you're using this part and you're striking like that. Okay. And your fair lady hand can be used to strike too. So you can use like the bottom edge to strike. But the fingers are still open and relaxed. Okay? So when you're here, you're almost at the bottom. You release the right foot, pivot on the heel of the right. All the weight is on the right. Step and close. And then start moving weight to the front as you turn. So the way this whole thing looks, if I'm doing it in your direction, is like this. I'm almost at the bottom. I release the heel of the right foot. I turn. So at the end, I'm looking that way, even though I started looking this way.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this hand, when it moves up, my eyes are looking past the fingers of this hand. Okay. So here, release the right foot, pivot on the right heel. All the weight is on the right. Step and close. Shift weight and turn.
I got a question.
Yes.
When you shift your weight and turn, what is the percentage on each foot?
You are shifting so that you have 60% on the front and 40 in the back.
Okay, and that is at the very end when you're
That
left.
is at the very end, and you are
Okay.
gradually moving your weight that way. So
Okay.
when you are here, okay, when you are here,
Yeah,
all the weight is on the back, is on the right.
yeah,
So that you can lift this one to go forward, right?
yeah.
Okay, so you're going to step and close. When I say step, it means contact. You don't have any weight there yet.
Okay,
Okay. As you push off the back and gain weight on the front, your
Okay.
hands shift too.
I got it.
Okay. So this is kind of a coordination thing, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So I'm going to do it one more time toward you, even though, well, I guess would it help if I did it mirror image? Maybe. I could try it, right?
yeah.
Okay. So if I were to do mirror image, I would turn, right? All the weight on your right, it would, and then step and close. I don't know if that helps. For a lot of people, it's more
Oh, it helps.
confusing. Yes.
I'm not sure when you step and close, are you turning to the front? Or you, I can't see you turning to the front.
So here, when I'm here, I'm facing the front. Okay. When I step and close, I'm still toward the front. I'm grabbing this person in front of me. Then I turn at the end, right? I turn as I'm pushing off the back foot and receiving on the front foot. Okay, so here I'm releasing the right foot, pivoting on the right foot.
Yes.
Then all the weight is on the right. Then step and close. I'm facing front. Then as I shift weight, I'm turning. Yes? Good.
I got a question.
Yes.
Okay, when you step and close.
Yeah.
Your hands, when they close, they're not parallel. One's higher than the other, or do they go parallel?
Well,
Do they scrunch down that much?
what happens is they're actually fairly parallel.
Okay, but they're
This
not.
is high. This is higher than what you were doing before,
This
but
is
this
okay.
is showing grabbing.
Okay.
So, but they're still parallel, you
They're
know.
parallel, but I need to have more space than.
You need more space because you're here. And what happens is I am facing this way at this point. And well, when I first grab, I'm here. But if I were to stand parallel to you, it looks like this. You see? But from here, it doesn't look as parallel. You know what I'm saying? It has to do with the angle that you're seeing me.
I need more space.
You need pretty much space.
Okay.
And then you're grabbing and then you're turning. The reason I'm emphasizing the knee position is that when you're doing turning, you want to have your legs as a stable base. Okay, so once I'm here and I step out, my hips are in the direction of the back foot, right? So even when I'm turning, my hips are still that way, even if the top half of me turns. Do you see what I'm saying? So I still have this base, and it's turning from the center of my body. It's not, I'll tell you what it's not. It is not moving my hips. I do not move my hips and carry my knees with me. Okay? Don't do that. Move just your waist. Your knees are still forward. So you're here. If you look at your feet, okay, I'm here. All my weight is on the right. As I step and close, okay, my knees are over in the direction of my toes. Then as I shift, I'm shifting and turning, but only my upper body is turning. Can you see? My knee direction is still the same relative to my feet.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's important that you keep a stable base when you move. Okay? Let's do this a few more times because this is, I think, a relatively difficult move.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it in the direction that you're doing. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Okay. Your hands are at your pant seams and head up, tailbone down, prepare. Opening. Move your hands in front of your thighs. Come up to shoulder level and press down with your hands, almost to the bottom. Grasp the bird's tail, ward off left, shift left, turn right, all the weight on the right. Step and close, shift weight and turn.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay, so those are the first two moves. You have prepare, which is a no move, but setting up. Opening is the first move. Grasp the bird's tail. If you look at the write-up, that is the sequence, very often, many of the sequence descriptions just say grasp the bird's tail. And grasp the bird's tail actually has ward off, roll back, press and push. So when I say grasp the bird's tail, that is like the heading. And the first move is left ward off, which is what we just did. Okay? The next move will be right ward off, which will be much easier. But left ward off is difficult for a couple of reasons. One, when you learned bow stance, you learned to lean. The vertical bow stance is more difficult, and left ward off is one of the three movements that requires this type of bow stance. Okay. Then the other thing is that this requires turning while your feet are stable. So when you're here, you're almost at the bottom. You shift left in order to release the right. Then turn. Then all the weight goes on the right. One up, one down. Step and close. As you shift weight, turn. So there's turning, and you have to be careful of the alignment. Okay, so let's do a few more times. Okay, you're almost at the bottom. You shift left. You turn right. All the weight is on the right. Step and close. Push off the back as you turn. Any questions? Let's do 3 more times and we'll close class. Okay? I'll do it in the direction that you're doing. So, actually, let's do it from the beginning. Okay? Hands by your side, head up, tailbone down, relax your knees. This is prepare. Opening, rotate your arms. Come up to shoulder level, press down, almost to the bottom. Grasp the bird's tail, ward off left. Shift left, turn right, all the weight on the right. Step and close, shift weight and turn. So the first 2 moves determine 2 very important parts of your form. When you do opening, you determine the pace at which you will do the form. When you do left ward off, you determine the height at which you do the form. By which I mean, when you're here and you turn, all the weight goes on the right. When you step out, you have determined the height at which you do the form. You're going to do the form at this height. Which is why it's important that you strengthen your legs, because you take up your height with your legs. So if you're not going to be doing this move for a while, but if you look at something like cloud hands, okay, what happens is you can see my shoulders are at the same height as I keep doing this, right?
Okay.
And how does that happen? I'm taking it up with my leg. And that's why I say you have determined the height of your form when you do left ward off. Okay, so what you do not want is you do not want this.
I got it.
Right? You
Yeah.
want to be the same all the way across. So that's what I mean when I say your height is determined by left ward off. I know you don't know these moves yet, some of you, but when you get there, you'll see what I mean. Okay? Are there any questions? No? Well, try to practice this. This is an important move to know. Okay? Thank you very much for coming to class. 同学们再见。
再见，老师。